There are weeks when the contrast inside the royal family becomes impossible to miss. This was one of them. On one side, Prince Harry was back in Britain, surrounded by headlines.
For years, Prince Harry and Prince William were seen as two brothers who would always stand together. But behind the royal smiles, a very different story was unfolding. One brother was moving closer to the throne, while the other was drifting further away from the royal world he once called home. How did their paths become so different? And is this truly the final chapter of Harry's royal journey? Stay until the end, because the full story is far more complicated than most people realize. After stepping away from royal duties, Prince Harry entered a life unlike anything he had known before. For most of his life, his role had been clearly defined. He was a prince of the United Kingdom, a member of one of the world's most famous families. Every major part of his life was connected to the monarchy. Now things were different. Harry and Meghan were building a new future in California, far from the palaces, traditions, and daily routines that had shaped his entire life. For some people, it looked like freedom. For others, it looked like exile. The truth was likely far more complicated. Harry was no longer carrying out royal duties on behalf of the crown, but he remained one of the most recognizable figures on earth. Every public appearance continued to attract attention. Every interview generated headlines. In many ways, he had left royal life without ever truly escaping it. At the same time, Harry focused on projects that reflected his personal interests. He continued advocating for mental health awareness, veterans' causes, and charitable work. These issues had become central parts of his public identity. Yet questions about his relationship with the royal family never disappeared. Every family gathering, public ceremony, or major royal event triggered new speculation. Would Harry attend? Would William speak to him? Had the brothers reconciled? The public wanted answers, but very few came. When Harry occasionally returned to Britain for important events, the media closely watched every interaction. A glance, a handshake, or even physical distance between family members could dominate news coverage for days. The world saw brief moments. What happened behind closed doors remained largely private, and perhaps that uncertainty kept the story alive. Meanwhile, Harry faced another challenge. Without a formal senior royal role, he had to redefine his purpose. This is something many people experience in their own lives. Sometimes the identity that once defined us changes, and we are forced to discover who we are without it. Many people watching this have faced moments where life did not go according to plan. A career changed. A relationship ended. A dream shifted direction. Yet those difficult chapters often reveal strengths we never knew we had. Harry's journey seemed to reflect that struggle. The world knew him as a prince, but now he was trying to build a life beyond that title, whether people agreed with his choices or not. Few could deny that he had taken a path filled with risk and uncertainty. The question was whether that path would ultimately bring peace, or whether it would deepen the distance between him and the family he left behind. As Harry searched for a new identity outside the palace gates, William's position inside the monarchy was becoming stronger than ever. And soon, one brother's rise would stand in sharp contrast to the other's uncertain future. The year 2022 changed the royal family forever. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away, an era that had lasted more than 70 years came to an end. Millions around the world mourned her death. But inside the royal family, the loss also triggered a major shift in responsibility and power. Almost overnight, Prince William moved closer to the throne than ever before. His father became King Charles III, and William inherited the title of Prince of Wales. The role carried enormous significance. It confirmed what many had known for years. William was now preparing more directly for the day he would become king. With that change came even greater expectations. Every speech, every royal tour, and every public appearance was now viewed through the lens of his future role. William and Catherine increasingly represented the future of the monarchy. Public opinion polls often showed strong support for the couple. Their image of stability, family, and duty matched what many people expected from future royal leadership. For William, the path ahead seemed clear. But for Harry, the future appeared far less certain. While William's role grew stronger inside the institution, Harry remained outside it. He continued living in California with Meghan and their children. He worked on charitable projects and media ventures, But discussions about his relationship with the royal family never seemed to fade. The contrast between the brothers had become impossible to ignore. One brother was moving toward the crown. The other had stepped away from the system entirely. Years earlier, they had walked side by side as partners in a shared mission. Now, they represented two very different visions of life. Some people saw William as the symbol of tradition and continuity. Others saw Harry as someone who chose personal freedom over institutional expectations. Neither path was simple. Neither path came without sacrifice. And that is what makes their story so compelling. The public often tries to divide stories into heroes and villains. But real life is rarely that simple. Family relationships are complicated. Pain is complicated. Loyalty, duty, and personal happiness often pull people in different directions. For William and Harry, those forces created one of the most public family divisions in modern history. Yet despite years of tension, many people continue to hope for reconciliation. Why? Because beneath the royal titles, media coverage, and public debates are two brothers who shared a childhood unlike any other. Two brothers who lost their mother at a young age. Two brothers who once seemed inseparable. And that reality continues to make their story deeply emotional for millions around the world. As William's rise continues and Harry's future remains uncertain, one final question remains. Is this truly the end of their story? Or could another chapter still be waiting to be written? If you enjoy documentaries that uncover the hidden human stories behind fame, power, and public life, subscribe because the next story may change the way you see another famous family forever. As the years pass, the story of Prince William and Prince Harry continues to evolve. What once seemed like a simple story of two royal brothers has become something much larger. It is now a story about family, grief, responsibility, identity, and the difficult choices people make when their personal lives collide with public expectations. From the outside, the divide between them appears significant. William stands firmly at the center of the monarchy's future. He continues preparing for the responsibilities that one day may place the crown upon his head. Every year brings him closer to becoming king. Harry, meanwhile, has built a life far away from palace walls. He has chosen a different path, one focused on family, personal independence, and causes he deeply believes in. Their worlds look very different today, but history has a way of surprising people. Many family conflicts that seem permanent eventually change. Time can soften anger. New experiences can create understanding. Shared memories can reopen doors that once appeared closed forever. That possibility is one reason why the public remains fascinated by this story. People are not only watching a royal drama, they are watching a family dealing with challenges that, despite extraordinary circumstances, feel familiar to many people around the world. Misunderstandings, distance, loss, disappointment, hope. These are experiences that connect all people, whether they live in a palace or an ordinary home. Perhaps that is why the story continues to capture global attention. Because deep down, many viewers are not asking whether William will become king. That answer already seems clear. Instead, they are asking something far more human. Will the brothers ever find their way back to each other? The answer remains unknown. Neither William nor Harry can change the past. The events that shaped their relationship have already happened. The interviews have been given. The books have been written. The headlines have spread across the world. Yet the future has not been written. And that leaves room for possibility. The world may see princes, titles, and royal duties. But beneath all of that are two brothers whose lives were forever changed by a shared tragedy, and whose bond once seemed unbreakable. Whether this story ends in reconciliation or permanent distance remains one of the biggest unanswered questions in modern royal history. And perhaps that uncertainty is why millions continue to watch. Because sometimes the most powerful stories are not the ones with clear endings. They are the ones that remind us that the next chapter can still change everything. This may feel like the end of Harry's royal journey and the beginning of William's greatest rise. But history has shown that royal stories rarely end where people expect. And this is only one story of fame, family, and hidden struggles. In our next documentary, we'll uncover another celebrity journey that shocked millions and changed everything they thought they knew. Despite years of headlines, interviews, books, and public debate. There's one moment the world is still waiting to see. Not a royal ceremony, not a major speech, not a palace announcement. The moment many people hope for is much simpler. A genuine reconciliation between two brothers. Over the years, there have been occasional signs that communication may have improved at certain moments. Major family events have sometimes brought members of the royal family together, even when tensions remained. But public appearances can only reveal so much. The real conversations happen behind closed doors, and those conversations remain private. That uncertainty has allowed endless speculation to grow. Every meeting becomes a news story. Every reported phone call creates new headlines. Every royal event sparks fresh questions. Will they speak? Will they meet privately? Will old wounds finally begin to heal? No one outside the family truly knows. What makes the situation especially emotional is that both William and Harry understand each other's experiences in ways few people ever could. Both grew up under constant public attention. Both lost their mother at a young age. Both spent decades living under expectations most people can hardly imagine. Yet despite those shared experiences, they reached very different conclusions about how life should be lived. Sometimes the people who understand us best are also the people with whom we disagree the most. That reality may help explain why their relationship became so complicated. The world often sees princes, but underneath the titles are two men carrying years of memories, pain, responsibility, and personal beliefs. And perhaps that is why this story continues to resonate with millions. Because it is not only about royalty, it is about family. And family stories rarely follow simple endings. Just when people think they know how everything will end, a new chapter begins. Years from now, historians will likely examine the story of William and Harry as one of the most important family narratives in modern royal history. Not because of scandals, not because of headlines, but because their journey reflects a deeper struggle between tradition and personal freedom. William chose the path of duty. Harry chose the path of independence. Both decisions came with benefits. Both decisions came with sacrifices. William gained a clearer role within the monarchy, but also carries immense responsibility. Harry gained greater control over his personal life, but also stepped away from the institution that shaped his identity. Neither road was easy, and that may be the most important lesson in this entire story. Many people spend years searching for a perfect choice in life. The truth is that sometimes every choice carries a cost. What matters is learning to live with the consequences of those decisions and continuing to move forward. Today, William's future appears tied to the future of the monarchy itself. Harry's future remains more unpredictable, shaped by projects, family life, and opportunities beyond royal tradition. Their journeys are different, yet their stories will always remain connected. Because no matter how far their lives travel in separate directions, the world will always remember them as two young brothers walking side by side through one of the most difficult moments imaginable. That image remains powerful even today, and perhaps it always will. The rise of William, the tragedy and transformation of Harry. Two different paths, one shared history, and a story that is still being written. As William continues moving closer to the throne, a difficult question has started appearing more often in royal discussions. What happens to Harry's place in history? For much of their childhood, the brothers were seen as a team. Their stories were connected. Their futures seemed linked together. Today, that picture looks very different. William is increasingly viewed as the face of the monarchy's future. Every public appearance strengthens that image. He is preparing for responsibilities that could define an entire generation of royal leadership. Meanwhile, Harry's role remains harder to define. To his supporters, he is a man who chose his family and personal well-being over tradition. To his critics, he walked away from duty. The debate continues. But one thing is undeniable. Harry has become one of the most discussed members of the royal family in modern history. Ironically, the prince who stepped away from the institution often generates as many headlines as those still inside it. Yet there's a deeper question beneath all the media attention. When future generations look back, how will they remember him? As a rebel? As a reformer? As a prince who challenged centuries of tradition? Or as a man trying to escape a life he never truly chose? The answer may take decades to emerge, because history often judges people very differently than their own time does. And that means Harry's final legacy is still unwritten. What happens next could change everything once again. After all the interviews, after all the headlines, after all the public arguments and royal drama, one truth remains impossible to ignore. Neither William nor Harry expected their lives to unfold this way. As children, they shared dreams, laughter, and experiences that created a bond few people could understand. They faced enormous loss together. They stood together during moments of national mourning. They represented hope for the future of the monarchy. Few people imagined they would one day become symbols of division. Yet life has a way of leading people down unexpected roads. The pressures of duty, the search for happiness, the weight of public expectations, the influence of family, all of these forces shaped the choices they made. And perhaps that is why their story continues to matter. Because beneath the crowns, titles, and palace walls is a lesson that applies to everyone. Families are complicated. Relationships change. People grow in different directions. Sometimes they find their way back. Sometimes they don't. But the hope of reconciliation never completely disappears. As this chapter of royal history continues to unfold, the world keeps watching for signs that the brothers who once seemed inseparable might one day stand together again. Maybe that moment will come. Maybe it won't. But until the final page is written, one question will remain.